Thank you very much for your time, brother.
All good. So,
Mr. Nick Isiekwe. Listen, thank you. We're here, St. Albans, in the den,
this is
the
den,
Wolf Pack. Thank you firstly for giving us the time.
That's okay.
The conversation, first and foremost, is a discussion. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just about understanding your mindset. You know, you're young, you're 21, you're playing for a team which is in the rugby league. You've already featured in the England, playing for England. And I think it's just incredible how disciplined you've been able to be to put yourself in a position. So it's really just about sharing your journey of how you've gone from where you started to where you are now. Because I think that's what it's about. It's about mindset, and I think a lot of people see things, but they don't understand what it really takes to build character.
I understand that.
So first and foremost, how did St. Albans mould and shape Nick growing up?
That's the like St. Albans. There's a stigma about St. Albans being like a nice affluent area, and obviously like there's bad parts of every area. We weren't from the best part of St. Albans. But what that did do for me is that, like, instead of staying at home and having all the nice gadgets and stuff, I go out and play football at the park, you know? And there would be people like me at the park just playing football, just kicking about, messing around. And then obviously with that, like, just kind of a love for being outside, love for playing sports, love for doing this, that, and not being inside, because a lot of kids, when I was growing up, would just be inside with their cool gadgets, not really pursuing anything. But then I was outside pursuing something in sports. And then that just kind of spurred my love for sports, I suppose. And obviously being in a school where like there's kids from everywhere, kids from where I'm from, Nigeria, kids from down the road, down the block, where their parents have been their whole lives, just a bit of everything. And it kind of opened my eyes up to what different aspects of life were about and different cultures were about. And I think as a person, it kind of made me a lot better kind of in terms of being able to interact with everyone. I think that's kind of the first and foremost like thing that I got out of that, is that I was able to interact with everyone. People that were kind of, I don't know, like from Arabic descent, they would go to my school, so I know what their kind of background was, and then people from down the block, like, you know, like English people live in like an English household, I'll be able to speak to them as well. But I think that's kind of what helped shape me in terms of my interactions with people, is that I kind of know different cultures and different aspects of life, I suppose.
You mentioned St. Albans having two sides. Can you elaborate? There's obviously the obvious side of St. Albans is nice, it's country homes, as we can see. Just
so St. Albans is a lovely place, like affluent, nice town, nice city. But then there's obviously the other side, like the council housing, the communal housing, all that stuff. Like, and kind of there's always two sides to it, and you kind of know when you're walking around, like, you see people with their big German Shepherds and their big Range Rovers driving around, but then you also see people with their Peugeot 206s, you know? Like, that's what I mean by, like, there's two sides of St. Albans. And it kind of, I suppose it almost gives you a taste early on of both sides of the, like, you see it hands-on, like, you get first-hand experience of, you know, the high rollers, and then the guys that aren't really, like, you know, they're not really that kind of level in their lives. But that's what I mean by St. Albans being two kind of different sides of the spectrum.
And your side, what
so
side
I was like
you
kind of basing more towards the left, so like the less privileged people. But my parents, they were doing okay, you know, there wasn't like anything special. But I think that kind of gave me like inner drive and appreciation. I think that's the main thing, is appreciation of what you have, because that in itself can spur a drive that you can't, like, you can learn it, you can definitely learn it, I think you can learn it, but it just gives you an inside drive, I think, when you have that appreciation for just things in general. And my parents kind of drilled that into me early on, is that you have to have an appreciation of what you get in life, because like, you never know what situation you'll be in tomorrow. You never know what situation you'll be in next week, the year, do you know? So That's important. The appreciation of what you have, and that's what I got out of kind of my upbringing and the situation that I was in prior to my career starting, I suppose.
When did it hit you? I mean, what point did you know that you were different? When did you realize? Because you're very young. You're 21 still.
I wouldn't say different. I think everyone is the same. This is what like it's almost like a thing where everyone is like the same. Everyone's similar. You know, everyone's human. Everyone has a mindset. Everyone can think for themselves. I think what it was like I was very happy-go-lucky kind of in the rugby environment. Like I would be like happy to be there and happy to be, I think that's the most important thing, just happy. Being happy with what you're doing is the most important thing. But then when I was like 16, so I got a scholarship to go to like a boarding school, big boarding school called Haileybury College. So that's like a different story. We'll get onto that. But like when I was like 16, 15, I was like, you know what, I stood in my old school field and I was like, you know, I want to play for Saracens. Like I want to do, how am I going to do this? And it was weird because like I remember that so vividly in my mind, like standing on that muddy field, like it was raining real hard, like horrible. And I just looked at my school and I was like, how am I going to play for Saracens? What am I going to do to play for Saracens? Because obviously rugby is what I was enjoying at the time and I was happy playing rugby and I really wanted to pursue it. But I was thinking in my head, how am I going to play for Saracens? And that kind of spurred me on to just be committed and dedicated to the craft, I suppose. But it was that question in my mind, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do to play for Saracens? So early on in my life, 15 years old, standing in a field, questioning myself, looking at my school, which isn't the greatest school. How am I going to do this? And it was that question that kind of spurred me on just to do everything I could in my power, just to be disciplined and be on the right path. Because there's loads of, you know, when you're younger, there's loads of paths you can go down. And there's loads of different things that you can get into, university, you know, you can go to 9 till 5, you can do whatever, you can be like doing anything, you know. So that question on that field to myself is what kind of spurred me on to be in that direction, rugby being in that direction. It's an unbelievable trait. And it opened my eyes to say, listen, if these guys have that drive and they've got everything, why can't everyone have that drive when they've got nothing? Do you know what I mean? You know?